Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paricharana Stotra Satoshi Shima His Divine Grace Shilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Thai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 24, titled Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Text number 28. Bahu Janma Vipakvena Bahu Janma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Samyag Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Drastum Yatante Yataya Sunyagare Suyatpadam Sunyagare Suyatpadam Bahujanma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Sunyagare Suyatpadam Bahujanma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Sunyagare Suyatpadam Bahujanma Vipakvena Drastum Yatante Yataya Suyatpadam Bahujanma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Samyag Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Bahujanma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Sunyagare Suyatpadam. Matajis. Bahujanma Vipakvena Samyag Yoga Samadhina Yoga Samadhina Drastum Yatante Yataya Sunyagare Suyatpadam. Word for word translation. Bahu, many. Janma, afterbirths. Vipakvena, which is mature. Samyag, perfect. Yoga Samadhina, by trance in yoga. Drastum, to see. Yatante, they endeavor. Yataya, the yogis. Sunya agaresu, in secluded places. Yat, whose. Padam, feet. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Shilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. After many births, mature yogis, by complete trance in yoga, endeavor in secluded places to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Some important things are mentioned here about yoga. The word Bahu Janma Vipakvena means after many, many births of mature yoga practice. Another word, Samyag Yoga Samadhina, means by complete practice of the yoga system. Complete practice of yoga means bhakti yoga. Unless one comes to the point of bhakti yoga or surrender unto the Supreme Personality Godhead, one's yoga practice is not complete. This same point is corroborated in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many, many births, the jnani who has matured in transcendental knowledge surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kadama Muni repeats the same statement. After many, many years and many, many births of complete yoga, of complete practice of yoga, one can see the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in a secluded place. It is not that after one practices some sitting postures, he immediately becomes perfect. One has to perform yoga a long time, many, many births, to become mature, and a yogi has to practice in a secluded place. One cannot practice yoga in a city or in a public park and declare that he has become God simply by some exchange of dollars. This is all bogus propaganda. Those who are actually yogis practice in a secluded place, and after many, many births, they become successful, provided they surrender unto the Supreme Personality Godhead. This is the completion of yoga. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. So read the translation again. We're reading from 3rd Canto, chapter 24, text number 28. After many births, mature yogis, by complete trance in yoga, endeavor in secluded places to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So this is Kardama Muni speaking to Lord Kapila. So now Lord Kapila, he has taken birth or has appeared as the son of Kardama Muni and Mother Devahuti. And now Kardama Muni in a secluded place, he is going and offering his obeisances onto the lotus feet of Lord Kapila, who is an incarnation of Krishna, and is offering praise. In the next verse, text 29, I'll read that also. In tomorrow's verse, Kardama Muni is saying, not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us, that very same Supreme Personality Godhead appears in our home just to support his devotees. So firstly, Kardama Muni, he is offering words of gratitude onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So in today's verse and tomorrow's verse, what Kardama Muni in summary is saying, he is explaining how actually to see your lotus feet, to have your darshan is actually very rare. And Kardama Muni, he gives the example of great yogis. He says that great yogis, they do tapasya in a secluded place somewhere in the forest, not just for many thousands and thousands of years, but only after doing tapasya and yoga practice for many, many births. Not just one lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 3 lifetimes, but Kardama Muni says that to take your darshan, to have your audience, to see your lotus feet, is not something cheap, it's something very rare. And great yogis, only after doing tapasya for thousands and thousands of births. Finally, when they perfect themselves, only then do they get your darshan. Only then can they see your lotus feet. But, my Lord, you are so merciful upon me that although you're so rare to see, although you're so rare to achieve, here I am, I'm just an ordinary householder, and my practice of spiritual life is imperfect. I have done so many mistakes and faults in my practice of devotional service, and I'm just ordinary householder. And in just one lifetime, in this very life, you're already giving me your darshan. You're so kind, you're so merciful upon me. So in this way, he's offering words of deep gratitude onto the lotus feet of Lord Kapila Dev. Maisiks explained that ordinarily speaking, to get your audience will require many, many births. But somehow or other, out of your causeless mercy, in this very same lifetime, although I'm not some great mystic, so he's speaking very humbly about himself. He's not introducing himself as a great mystic yogi or a great devotee of the Lord, but he's introducing himself. If you read tomorrow's verse, he will say, not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us. So he's not addressing himself as a pure devotee, as a great bhakta, as a great mystic yogi who's done so much tapasya, but his conception of himself is just an ordinary householder. Not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us, that very same Supreme Personal Godhead appears in our homes just to support his devotees. So in this way, Kadama Muni, he is glorifying the causeless mercy and the kindness of the Supreme Lord. On one hand, these great yogis, only after many, many births do they get Krishna's darshan. On the other hand, I'm just an ordinary householder, and Krishna is overlooking all of my faults, overlooking all of my mishaps in devotional service, and so easily giving me his darshan. So this is the second time Kadama Muni is getting darshan of the Supreme Personal Godhead in his life. First time, when he does tapasya on the order of Brahma, and then Vishnu comes flying on Garuda. And now the same Supreme Lord is appearing as his son. So this is the words of gratitude that Kadama Muni offers at the lotus feet of Lord Kapila Dev. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he explains that bhakti or devotional service, it starts with gratitude. That is the first step in devotion. First, we need to develop gratitude, then that will lead to humility, then humility will lead to compassion. So it's very important for all of us to also try and imbibe that same mood. If we're grateful for whatever Krishna has given us, then Krishna will give us more mercy. But if we're ungrateful, then Krishna will think, I've already given this person so many things, but he's not grateful for it. Why should I give him more? He's not going to take it seriously. He's not going to see my hand in it, so what's the point? But if Krishna is seeing us being grateful for every single small thing that he is giving for us, then Krishna will be more inspired to give more mercy. That, wow, this bhakta, every single thing I'm doing for him, he's feeling so grateful, he's feeling so obliged. Let me give him more. Let me give him more. So in this way, the more we can cultivate this mood of gratefulness, the more mercy we'll attract from the Supreme Lord. Not only from the Supreme Lord, from all the Vaishnavas, from sadhus in general. Now the devotee does something for us. If we're grateful for it, we generally thank that devotee and appreciate his help for what he's done for us. Then naturally that person will feel inspired to help us more in our spiritual life. Otherwise, someone helps us and we're ungrateful, don't even acknowledge their role in helping us in our spiritual life, and then that person will think, this guy is just ungrateful. He doesn't care about the sacrifice I'm making for him. Why should I waste my time in helping him more? Better I put my energy somewhere else for another devotee who will value my service more. So this way we can see that gratitude actually is a very fundamental principle of bhakti. And as His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj explains, this is the beginning of bhakti. Bhakti begins with gratitude. The more we're grateful, the more mercy we'll attract from Krishna, from Guru, from other Vaishnavas. So in this way, one who is a grateful devotee, he will advance very quickly. He will get something from Krishna, he'll be grateful, then Krishna will be more inspired to give him more. Then again, he'll be more grateful, then again, Krishna will give him more. Other Vaishnavas will keep on giving more and more mercy. In this way, he'll keep on advancing very, very quickly. Whereas ungrateful person, Guru will offer him some mercy, other Vaishnavas offer him some mercy, Krishna will offer him some mercy, but he's ungrateful, he doesn't see the value. Then naturally, Krishna will withdraw withhold his mercy, thinking, what's the point of giving? He doesn't value. Other Vaishnavas will also keep a distance. And the Guru will also think, this person he doesn't value, what's the point? So in this way, the person who's ungrateful, he will just stay where he is. He won't move an inch forward. Rather, he can even go backwards. So that's why gratitude is a very important quality. And we'll see with any prayers, like Bhagavatam, it's full of prayers by great, great devotees of the Lord. And if we study any prayers given in Srimad Bhagavatam, this theme of the devotee being grateful for what Krishna has given, we'll see this throughout all the prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Whether it's prayers by Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Kadama Muni, Narad Muni, Brahma, anyone. All the great devotees, we study their prayers, we'll see there will always be some verses where the devotee is offering gratitude for what the Supreme Lord has done for him personally. So we can make it a habit to every day come in front of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, in front of Shri Shri Gaunitai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev, Subhadramani, in front of Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara, and offer words of genuine gratitude for everything they've done for us. And this will please them, and this will inspire them to give us more mercy. So this is the main theme of these verses being spoken by Kadama Muni. And as I was explaining, His Holiness Radha Maharaj explains that when we're grateful, then we can go to the next level, which is humility. If someone is grateful, then naturally they will become very humble, thinking that, I am so small, but so much mercy is coming to me, I don't deserve this. So when that feeling of gratitude is there, when that feeling that, okay, I don't deserve this, all this causeless mercy coming my way, then one naturally, he starts becoming very humble. One pastime I was reading yesterday in Dinabandhu Prabhu's book, Brajalila Part 2. The first part I read last year. So I started reading the second part yesterday. And at the start of his book, before Dinabandhu Prabhu, he starts talking about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He first glorifies Srila Prabhupada by sharing a few stories of Srila Prabhupada, how it's only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy we are able to access Sri Vrindavan Dham. In that start of the book, Dinabandhu Prabhu, he shares one nice story demonstrating how humble Srila Prabhupada was, how Srila Prabhupada embodied this Vaishnava quality of being very grateful and humble. He was sharing how in the beginning days, in the first center in New York, at that time, many hippies, they used to come, and initially the motivation was Prabhupada's cooking. So Prabhupada himself used to cook every day, and all these hippies, they would come and they would take the prasad that Prabhupada would cook. They've never tasted anything like this. Prabhupada would cook rice, dal, sabji, chapatis, and he would make the famous ISKCON bullets, gulab jamuns. So all these hippies, they became addicted to Prabhupada's cooking, and they would enjoy the kirtan also. And Dinabandhu Prabhu was saying that one of these hippies, I forgot this Prabhu's name, but he knew that at 12 o'clock there would be this feast that Prabhupada would cook and Prabhupada would personally serve. So every day he used to come exactly at 12 o'clock for prasad, because this would be the only proper meal he would get during the whole day. So he would come in and there would be many other hippies assembled in Prabhupada's small little room in 22nd, 2nd Avenue. And Prabhupada would personally cook everything himself, and then Prabhupada would personally come and serve each and every one of the hippies in his room. Then everyone would start eating, then Prabhupada would serve for himself, and Prabhupada would eat prasadam along with the other hippies. As if, they're all just friends. And everyone will eat together, have a nice time, and Prabhupada will encourage all the other hippies to also take prasadam. And this one day, what happens, this particular devotee, or hippie at this time, he decides to stay back till the end, and he decides to take in more prasad and get a bit of Prabhupada's personal association. So instead of leaving immediately after taking prasad, he just eats very slowly. And by the time he's finished, he realizes that everyone in the room, they have left. And it's just him and Srila Prabhupada in the room. There's no one else. All the other devotees, all the other bhaktas or hippies, they have left the room and gone away. And it's just him and Srila Prabhupada. And he has finished his prasad. And then he takes his, muchi plate. And then he goes to put it in the sink. And at that time, it struck him. He was going to the sink to put his empty muchi plate. And he sees there's already, another 10 muchi plates there. And then he's wondering, every day I come along with the other guys and we take nice prasad cooked by Swamiji. Who washes up at the end? We all come, we eat, we put our plate in the sink and then we go. I wonder who cleans up after we all leave. And then he looks around the room, there's no one in the room, it's just Srila Prabhupada. And then he realizes that actually every day, not only does Swamiji cook himself, but every day, after everyone has finished prasadam and left, Swamiji personally cleans up the plates of all of us. All the guys who come, all the hippies who come and they take prasadam, Swamiji personally has to clean up their plates. And then Swamiji has to personally wash all the pots and the utensils in which he cooked in. And then he realizes that, my God, so much work the Swamiji is doing just for us. Maybe we should help him at least wash up, So then he goes to Prabhupada and says, Swamiji, can I help you wash up today? I just realized that actually, you have to do all the washing up yourself. You yourself wash all our plates, and you yourself have to clean all the pots after we're gone. Can I help you today? I think I would like to help you. And what was Prabhupada's response? Prabhupada, he just very gently smiles, and Prabhupada tells this boy that just now, just a little while before, actually I was praying to Krishna to please help me, to send some help. Just before you asked this question, I was praying to Krishna that Krishna, I need some help. Every day I'm cooking, I have to wash, I have to clean everything all by myself. It's taking a bit of toll. Can you please send someone to help me with my service? And just see how merciful Krishna is. Krishna has sent you to help me wash all the pots at the end. So Dinabandhu Prabhu, he was sharing his realization that just see how humble Srila Prabhupada is. Here is Srila Prabhupada, a Nityasiddha devotee of the Supreme Lord, a resident of Goloka Vrindavan. He is coming down to the material world and he is personally cooking for the lowest of men. All these hippies, they were on drugs and breaking all the four regulated principles. They were the lowest of mankind. So Prabhupada is the topmost, coming from directly spiritual world. But here he is, cooking for the most degraded, personally serving them prasad, and not only that, washing their muchi plates at the end, after serving them. Can you imagine someone coming from Goloka Vrindavan to the material world and washing the muchi plates of hippies, of people who are on drugs, or people who are eating meat, of people who are, addicted to intoxication and so many sinful habits. So this is the humility of Srila Prabhupada. Dinabandhu Prabhu shares at the start of his book. Prabhupada is so humble, he's not thinking, I am such a great person, why should I serve them? Rather, they should serve me. But Prabhupada, to fulfill the instruction of his spiritual master, of his guru, he is even willing, to go down so low, to such a humble position, to cook for these hippies, to personally serve them, and then also to wash their muchi plates, and then wash all the pots himself. And all this Prabhupada is doing at the age of 70 years old. Us, even though we're young and strong, we wouldn't think of doing that. It would hurt our ego. We'll think, why should I wash? This is their place. They should wash. Why should I serve them? They should have some gratitude. They should do it. But Prabhupada, his mood was just that of service, that he was seeing them, that, okay, his spiritual master. Prabhupada explains his mood was that he was seeing that all of these persons that are coming to his storefront, they're all being sent by his spiritual master. Prabhupada one time, he explains like this, that when I see all of you coming for my programs, for my kirtans, for my prasad, my vision or my mood is that I see that you're all being sent by my Guru Maharaj. My Guru Maharaj is sending all of you to help me fulfill his desire, help me fulfill his instruction. So therefore it is my duty to serve all of you. So such a humble mood Srila Prabhupada had. So the ideal example of humility we can see from our own Srila Prabhupada. Like this, if we study Srila Prabhupada's whole life, it's amazing how humble and tolerant Srila Prabhupada was. And by glorifying Srila Prabhupada, by reading and hearing about this, we can also be inspired to follow in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps and also develop these same qualities. Another pastime Dinabandhu Prabhu was sharing, I was reading yesterday in his book. He was explaining how one time in America, Srila Prabhupada was just arriving at one particular center. And in this center, usually during cold season or winter time, when the weather would be very cold, Prabhupada would ask for some halwa. This halwa, is cooked in ghee, it's nice and hot. So when you take halwa, the body, it starts warming up. So it's nice to take halwa during winter. So one day in this center, which Srila Prabhupada recently arrived, he asked the devotees to make some halwa for him. And this one devotee, he goes into the kitchen, and usually halwa, it's made out of semolina or suji. But this devotee, he has a great idea. He thinks, why make halwa with suji or semolina? I'll make some special halwa for Srila Prabhupada with some other ingredient. And this new halwa I'll make, this will please Srila Prabhupada very much, and he will never forget the taste of this very nice halwa. So he decides to use, instead of semolina, he uses an ingredient called wheat germ. I'm not sure exactly what exactly this is, but he gets some other alternative grain called wheat germ, and he makes this halwa out of this other grain. And all the while he's cooking in the kitchen, he's in his mind, he's thinking that Srila Prabhupada, he's going to love this halwa so much. I'm going to make this special halwa. Every day Prabhupada eats the same semolina halwa. I'll make this special halwa made out of wheat germ, and the taste will be amazing. Srila Prabhupada will be in ecstasy. I'll get so much blessings. Srila Prabhupada will be so pleased with me. So like this, his whole mood was like this. That, how pleased Srila Prabhupada will be when he tastes this nice halwa. So like this, he cooks a whole pot of halwa and then he brings it to Srila Prabhupada. And what was Srila Prabhupada's response? Prabhupada just takes one look at the halwa and then starts chastising this disciple. That, what is this? This is not halwa. Halwa is supposed to be made out of semolina, suji. What is this nonsense, Take it away. And Prabhupada just flicks his wrist like that. And Dinabandhu Prabhu is explaining that in India, if someone does like that to you, it's actually like a very heavy chastisement. That, your nonsense, go away. I don't want to see you like that. So Srila Prabhupada does like this to the disciple. Just take it away. I don't want to see it. I don't want to eat it. And this devotee, he's completely heartbroken. All the while he was cooking, he was meditating, oh, Srila Prabhupada is going to love this so much. He's going to be so pleased. But now the exact opposite happens. Prabhupada is so displeased and Prabhupada is rejecting his service. So then he goes away from that place and then he just starts crying and crying and crying. That, what has happened. And he goes into the temple room, and in the temple room of that temple, there's a picture of Srila Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur. And then he goes and starts crying in front of the picture of Srila Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur. Crying and telling him what has happened. That, I was trying to please your disciple, Srila Prabhupada. I really thought this would please him. I was being sincere, but he has rejected my offering. He has rejected my service. I don't know what to do now. My life is a failure. So like this, he's crying and explaining his situation to Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur. While this is happening, while he's crying in the temple room, talking to Srila Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur, at that time he hears Srila Prabhupada's loud voice calling his name to come. I forgot this devotee's name, but Prabhupada calls him by his name and asks him to come to his room. Then immediately he leaves the temple room and comes into Srila Prabhupada's room. And then Prabhupada tells him, go bring that halwa you made. And this devotee, he wipes off his tears, quickly runs into the kitchen, brings that same pot of halwa which Prabhupada, 5 minutes ago had rejected, brings that pot of halwa, serves Prabhupada a little bit, and then Prabhupada quickly finishes, and then Prabhupada asks for more. and again he serves him more, then Prabhupada finishes another bowl. Like this, Prabhupada, he finishes the whole pot of halwa just in one sitting. And this devotee, he was like completely amazed. And then later on, he's sharing this story to Dinabandhu Prabhu, and he explains to Dinabandhu Prabhu that after this incident with Srila Prabhupada, he had two realizations. First realization he had was that actually, we have our Guru Parampara and they're all linked. All of the gurus, spiritual masters we have in our Guru Parampara, they're all linked. And he was saying that, I was praying to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he's actually linked to Srila Prabhupada. He's actually Prabhupada's spiritual master. And what I prayed to him, he revealed from Srila Prabhupada's heart and made Srila Prabhupada accept my offering. So all of our Guru Parampara, they're all one disciplic section, they're all linked all the way back to the Panchatattva, to Krishna. Second realization he had, he said was, and Prabhupada himself personally said this on many occasions also, that the grandfather is always more merciful than the father. So he said this was the second realization he had, which Srila Prabhupada himself also said, that the grandfather is always more merciful than the father. So he was saying that although in this occasion, Prabhupada, he was very heavy, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, being the grandfather, he was more merciful. And he made Srila Prabhupada accept my offering. And Dinabandhu Prabhu, he uses the second realization to share with us that we should never lament and think that, we missed out on Prabhupada's personal association. Oh, if only I was born in the 1970s, I could have got Srila Prabhupada's personal association. But I was born so many decades later, and I'm just a second generation Hare Krishna devotee. I missed out on all the mercy, I missed out on all the nectar. But Dinabandhu Prabhu, he uses this pastime to tell us that actually we are more fortunate than the devotees who were present with Srila Prabhupada in the 70s. Why? Because we have Srila Prabhupada as our grandfather spiritual master. Because we're second generation Hare Krishna devotees, for us Srila Prabhupada is our grandfather. And the grandfather is always more merciful than the father, which means we'll attract more mercy from Srila Prabhupada than what Srila Prabhupada gives to his direct disciples. So in this way, Dinabandhu Prabhu, he explains that actually we are most fortunate. We should never think that we missed out on the mercy, but actually, because we're grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada, actually we're getting more mercy, we're getting more blessings from Srila Prabhupada. So like this, Dinabandhu Prabhu, he shares some nice Prabhupada pastimes at the start of his book. Now coming to this purport, Prabhupada is first talking about yoga, about how generally for Ashtanga yogis, or those who are practicing yoga, it takes them many, many lives to perfect themselves, to come to the point of perfection. And what is the point of perfection? Prabhupada explains. The perfection of the yoga system is when one comes to the point of bhakti yoga. And Prabhupada says bhakti yoga means to surrender onto the lotus feet of Krishna. So these Ashtanga yogis, only after doing tapasya for many, many thousands of years, of many, many lives, they finally come to the point of bhakti, they finally come to the point of surrendering unto Krishna, and only then do they perfect themselves. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada, he's talking about yogis in previous yugas, how in Satya Yuga, these great yogis, they used to, or these humans, they used to live for 100,000 years, they used to do tapasya for tens and thousands of years. And he was giving the example, I think, of Valmiki Rishi, or another great Rishi, how this particular Rishi, he did tapasya for 60,000 years. And all the devotees were like, wow, doing tapasya 60,000 years, that's like so much. And then Prabhupada, he told the devotees in this lecture that don't worry, you don't have to do tapasya for so many thousands of years. And Prabhupada makes this amazing statement in this lecture. Prabhupada says to all the devotees in the audience that if you simply do Harinam Sankirtan for 6 days, if you simply go into the town center, into the city, and do Harinam Sankirtan for 6 days, your 6 days of Harinam Sankirtan will equal 60,000 years of tapasya of these rishis in the past ages. So this is the benediction Srila Prabhupada gave to all of us. We just do 6 days of Harinam Sankirtan, 6 days of Harinam or 6 days of book distribution out on the streets of Sydney. Prabhupada says that equals to 60,000 years of tapasya done in Satya Yuga. So this is how much mercy Srila Prabhupada has given us. That what the great sages and rishis used to attain by 60,000 years of austere tapasya, we can get by simply 6 days of book distribution. So much causeless mercy Srila Prabhupada has given us. And we should simply just count our blessings, count how fortunate we are. And this way we can develop so much gratitude for what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Just like Kadamani, he's explaining here, he's thinking, I'm just ordinary householder. There's so many faults in my service. All these yogis, they have to wait for many lives before they can see Krishna. But Krishna, he's so kind upon me. In this very life, he's given me darshan. Krishna is so kind upon me. So this way we can also develop that same mood, that Srila Prabhupada, he's so kind upon us. He has given us chance to sing and dance in front of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. He has given us opportunity to do deity worship. He has given us opportunity to chant the holy name. In all the 3 worlds, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, in the 14 planetary systems, there is no greater treasure than the holy name of the Lord. So that greatest treasure in all the 14 planetary systems, Prabhupada has openly given to all of us. So like this, we can simply count on the unlimited blessings that Srila Prabhupada has bestowed upon us. And in the purport, Prabhupada is quoting one verse from Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse, Bahunam Janmanante Gyanavan Mam Prapajyate Vasudevam Sarvamati Sa Mahatma Sudalabha. So this verse is explaining Bahunam Janmanam Ante, that these great yogis, only after many, many lifetimes, Gyanavan Mam Prapajyate, only after many, many lifetimes do they develop the necessary spiritual intelligence to surrender unto the Supreme Personality Godhead. And then they perfect themselves. So Prabhupada many times he would quote this verse, specifically the second line of this verse, Gyanavan Mam Prapajyante. And Prabhupada will explain that one is considered to be a jnani, one is considered to be intelligent, only if he is surrendering onto the lotus feet of Krishna. That's what Krishna is explaining, right? Gyanavan Mam Prapajyate. One is a jnani only if he does prapajyante onto me, Krishna says. So unless someone is surrendering himself onto the lotus feet of Krishna, according to Krishna, he is not intelligent. According to Krishna, he is a muda or a fool. So we judge, Prabhupada explains, we judge the intelligence of a particular person by seeing how much he is surrendered onto the lotus feet of Krishna. We don't judge a person's intelligence by how much shastric knowledge he has, how many stories from the Puranas he has memorized, how many slokas he has memorized, how scholarly he's able to talk. We don't judge a person's intelligence by their dress, whether he's wearing saffron, whether he's in this ashram or that ashram. We don't judge a person's intelligence by his age. Okay, he is so many years old. And this person is, this many years old. According to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explains, we judge a person's intelligence or smartness by seeing how much this person is surrendered at the lotus feet of Krishna. The more a particular person is surrendered onto Krishna's lotus feet, according to Shastra, the more intelligent that person is. Gyanavan Mam Prapajyante. So someone might be a 5-year-old boy. On one side, we might have a 5-year-old boy. How many slokas would a 5-year-old boy know? Maybe just 1 or 2. How many shastras he might have read? Barely any. On the other side, we might have a 70-year-old sannyasi. Someone wearing the saffron robes, 70 years old, read so many shastras, memorized so many verses, memorized so many stories from the Puranas. But according to Shastra, if this 5-year-old boy is more surrendered onto the lotus feet of Krishna than this 70-year-old sannyasi, then this 5-year-old boy is much more intelligent than this 70-year-old sannyasi. So the way to judge one's intelligence is by seeing how much they surrendered onto Krishna's lotus feet, not by externals. Gyanavan Mam Prapajyate. One is a jnani, one is considered intelligent, only if he is doing prapajante. Jnanavan mam prapajante. If someone is surrendering themselves onto Lord Sri Krishna, only then is he considered to be intelligent. The more one is surrendered, the more intelligent that person is. So this is the way we judge a particular devotee's intelligence. So someone might not be so philosophically inclined, but if by his practical life he is surrendering himself, then he is considered the most intelligent. We see this in Chaitanya Charitamrita with the story of the illiterate Brahmana. When Mahaprabhu goes on South Indian tour, there is this illiterate Brahmana, and he's illiterate, he can't read or write, but still every day he's trying to read Bhagavad Gita. And because he's illiterate, he can't, properly recite the Sanskrit slokas, and he's not able to fully understand the meaning of the Sanskrit slokas because he's illiterate. On the other side, there's all these scholarly Brahmanas around him, and by seeing this illiterate Brahmana trying to read Bhagavad Gita, by hearing him mispronounce the slokas, they're having a good laugh that, just see how foolish this Brahmana is. He's illiterate, but he's trying to study Bhagavad Gita. Just see how he's mispronouncing the syllables. Just see how he's mispronouncing the slokas. Like this, all the other Brahmanas in the area, they used to tease this Brahmana, that he's illiterate and he's trying to study Bhagavad Gita. What a fool. Why is he wasting his time like this? Better he do something useful. So why was this illiterate Brahmana trying to study Gita, although he was illiterate? Mahaprabhu explains he was given order from his Guru Maharaj that every day you read Bhagavad Gita, every day you study Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada explains, Mahaprabhu explains, that actually the spiritual master, he knew that the disciple was illiterate. He knew he didn't know how to read or write, but still the Guru instructed this particular devotee, still, although you're illiterate, still I want you to read Bhagavad Gita every day. And because this Brahmana, he was fully surrendered onto the lotus feet of his spiritual master, he took the instruction to his heart and he carried that instruction out every day. Although he was illiterate, still every day he tried to read Gita. He couldn't pronounce the slokas properly, he couldn't understand the meaning of the verses properly, but still my Guru Maharaj has told me to study, I have to study. Although I'm illiterate, let me follow his instruction. Because of that, later on, when Mahaprabhu comes and sees this illiterate Brahmana, Mahaprabhu is seeing that this illiterate Brahmana is trying to read Gita. He is not able to properly read or pronounce the slokas, but he's crying while he is reading. And Mahaprabhu asks him, comes up to him, and Mahaprabhu is curious, why is this Brahmana crying? Mahaprabhu asks him, how come you're crying? What's the problem? And this Brahmana tells to Mahaprabhu that actually, I'm crying thinking about how merciful Krishna is. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He's the master of all the universes. And we're all supposed to be Krishna's servant. But just see what is happening in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is taking the humble position of being the chariot driver of Arjuna. He is stooping down so low just to serve his devotees. He's taking the humble position of being a chariot driver, and he's letting his devotee Arjuna command him, go this way, go that way, go quickly here, go there. How merciful, how kind is my Supreme Lord? How humble is he? Thinking about Krishna's humility, thinking about Krishna's kindness, I'm getting overwhelmed, and that's why I'm crying. When Mahaprabhu hears this, he is so pleased, and he embraces this illiterate Brahmana, and Mahaprabhu openly declares in front of all the other Brahmanas there, that actually you are the real scholar of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, you are the most intelligent person, and you are the real scholar of Bhagavad Gita, not these other Brahmanas out here. So why is he the most intelligent person? Why is the illiterate Brahmana the actual scholar of Bhagavad Gita? Because Jnanavan Mam Prapajate, because he has surrendered onto the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. That's why he has become the most intelligent. So surrendering onto Krishna means surrendering onto Guru. Guru is representative of Krishna. So the more one is surrendered onto lotus feet of Guru or Krishna, the more intelligent he is. That's why Mahaprabhu declared that this illiterate Brahmana was the most intelligent person in that particular town. And that you are the actual scholar of Bhagavad Gita, you are the most intelligent person, not these other scholars out here. Why? Because you are surrendered. You have fully surrendered yourself at the lotus feet of your spiritual master. Your spiritual master asked you, read Bhagavad Gita daily. And although you're illiterate, still you surrendered yourself to the instruction. You carried out every day. Because of that surrender onto the lotus feet of your Guru Maharaj, you're the actual scholar of Gita. Everything, the actual meaning of the Gita is being revealed from within your heart onto you. So someone might be illiterate or not very much philosophically inclined, not able to read and study so much. But Prabhupada explains, if he is surrendered unto Krishna, and if he is surrendered unto the instructions of his spiritual master, then all the conclusions of the Shastras will automatically be revealed from within the heart of that particular devotee. And very quickly that person will become very advanced. On the other side, there might be big scholars reading and studying so many books, but because they're not surrendered, externally they'll be reading and memorizing, but the actual essence, the realizations of the Shastras, the actual meaning and the principles of the Shastras will never go deep within themselves. They only have superficial knowledge of the Shastras. Other side, someone might be literate, but if he is fully surrendered, automatically he'll become a real jnani. Automatically he'll become very intelligent. Why? Because the most intelligent person, Krishna, is within the heart, and the most intelligent person, Krishna, from within the heart will reveal all the imports of the Shastras. So this verse Prabhupada will often quote, explaining how one is considered intelligent only if he is surrendering himself onto the lotus feet of Krishna or Guru. If someone is more surrendered one is towards Guru and Krishna, the more intelligent he is. Another time, one other pastime comes to mind of Srila Prabhupada when he was in Mayapur. He was there with all of his disciples, and some of his disciples were, sannyasis. And these are all young sannyasis, in their early 20s. And Prabhupada was talking with his god brothers, and one of his god brothers was commenting to Srila Prabhupada, gently making fun of Srila Prabhupada's disciples by saying, actually these, Western disciples of yours, they can't pronounce Sanskrit properly, I've heard them reciting slokas from Bhagavad Gita, but they're unable to pronounce the slokas nicely, they're mispronouncing, they don't know how to sing in proper tune, they're mispronouncing all the slokas, they don't know how to, recite slokas nicely. Like this god brother Srila Prabhupada was gently mocking Srila Prabhupada's Western disciples. That, although externally, they're putting a big show, wearing saffron, holding danda, they're unable to recite slokas nicely. They don't know how to pronounce. And Prabhupada, what was Prabhupada's response? Prabhupada, he defends his disciples. How? Prabhupada explains to this particular person that, yes, my disciples might not be able to pronounce Sanskrit nicely or properly. They might not know so many verses or read so many books. They might have this fault, that fault. But all my disciples, they have one good quality. What is this one good quality Prabhupada is talking about? Prabhupada explains to his god brother, or this particular devotee, that all of my disciples, they have one good quality, which is they're fully surrendered unto me. Which is anything I ask them to do, they will do it. If I ask them to leave this country, go to this city and preach, they will immediately leave, go. If I ask them to do this, they will do. If I ask them to do this, they will do. Anything I ask them to do, they will immediately do, without a second thought. And because of that one good quality my disciples have, of being fully surrendered at my lotus feet, this one good quality is so great that this one good quality automatically negates whatever apparent faults you might see in them. So you might see in them, the fault of not pronouncing Sanskrit properly. You might see the fault in them, of not knowing Suchi and Muchi properly. You might see this fault in them, that fault in them, that fault in them, this fault in them. But Prabhupada tells this particular person, because they have this one good quality of being fully surrendered, because they have this one good quality of doing anything I want them to do, this one good quality is so great that it automatically burns out all the other small mistakes you might see them doing. So this is again, Prabhupada is emphasizing the same point. The conclusion of all the Shastras is, conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, all the Shastras is, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. So when Krishna is saying, in the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita that we should surrender unto his lotus feet. Surrender unto Krishna means surrender unto the lotus feet of Guru. Guru is the representative of Krishna. So this is the conclusion of all the Shastras. So if someone has come to this point of being fully surrendered at the lotus feet of his spiritual master, he has attained perfection. He might externally, have so many other faults. He might not be able to follow Suchi-Muchi properly, or might not be able to pronounce Sanskrit properly. So many apparent faults one might see in him. But because he has simply done this one good quality of being fully surrendered, Prabhupada explains, this one good quality of being fully surrendered automatically negates or overcomes whatever apparent faults he might have. Krishna will overlook all of that and accept his sincere, humble service onto the lotus feet of his spiritual master. So this, Prabhupada explains, is the conclusion of yoga. I'll read the last line of the purport. Those who are actually yogis practice in a secluded place, and after many, many births they become successful, provided they surrender unto the Supreme Personality Godhead. This is the completion of yoga. So the perfection of yoga, the completion of yoga is when we come to the point of fully surrendering ourselves onto the lotus feet of Krishna, or when we come to the point of fully surrendering ourselves onto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. If we come to that point, that's it. Our life is perfect. We have nothing more to attain. Okay, with this I'll stop here. Yes, sir.
Significance in meeting up in a secluded place, unlike Arjuna approaches Krishna in front of the battlefield, in front of everyone. Is there any significance in that?
Well, the question is, Kadama Muni, he approaches Lord Kapiladev in a secluded place. So is there any significance for that, of why he's approaching him in a secluded place? So, there could be a few reasons. One thing, if we look at that verse you're talking about, text 26, it's mentioning that he's offering obeisances unto Lord Kapiladev. And, but he's his son, So offering obeisance to your son, that might look, a bit odd. And maybe Kadama Muni, he just wants to have a, personal, conversation with Kapiladev. Just like all of us, we take Darshan Radha Gopinath and we offer personal praise. And those personal praise we're offering to Shri Radha Gopinath, only we are able to hear. And Krishna, obviously, is able to hear. So in the same way, Kadama Muni, he's just having his personal audience with his son, who is actually Supreme Personality Godhead. And I would just see it as that. Yeah, that's different. These yogis, that's the process of Ashtanga yoga. Like in 6th chapter of Gita, right? Krishna, he gives the different rules and regulations of Ashtanga yoga. So they're supposed to give up their family, go to the forest, and practice meditation. They're supposed to get, sit on soft kusa grass, deer skin. So this is all supposed to help them in their meditation. And just like the deer skin is supposed to, I think, stop snakes, other animals coming. And going to the forest is supposed to aid in their meditation. Because if they're in the city, there'll be so many distractions. One can't do tapasya and hear so many things happening. But in the forest, everything is very quiet. It's mode of goodness, then they can, meditate more easily. And the diversion of sense gratification won't be there in the forest. In the cities, the allurements are so much more. And Ashtanga yoga process starts with more gross, controlling the gross body, then one is supposed to control the subtle body, pratyahara, giving up all sense gratification. So all of this is easier in a forest when one goes to a secluded place. So this is one of the recommendations for Ashtanga Yoga. So that's different. But in this case of Kadama Muni approaching Lord Kapila Dev in a secluded place, he just wants to have a, private darshan with Sripam. Just like all of us, we have our own private darshan, Radha Gopinath. Every day we come and we offer private prayers. We don't loudly, recite our prayers for everyone to hear, but we have our own personal talk with Radha Gopinath. Same way, Kadama Muni, he's having his own personal talk with Lord Kapila Dev.
The other thing mentioned in the shloka is Dashtum Yapante Padam, to see the endeavor, the yogis, to see the lotus feet of the Lordship. I guess devotees are recommended to enhance their devotion so that the Lordships will be pleased to see the devotee rather than the devotee putting effort to see the lotus feet of the Lord, right? So we actually follow the other way around, right? And we actually work hard, we actually enhance our bhakti, we actually do proper chanting, etc., whatever service we are doing, so that we don't actually endeavor to see the lotus feet of the Lord, but rather we actually invite the Lordships so that they'll be pleased to see us, right? So we follow a different way.
Yes, Prabhu, that's right. So Prabhu is saying that this verse is saying the yogis, they're endeavoring so hard in so many lifetimes to see Krishna's lotus feet. But Prabhu is mentioning in our process, Prabhu is quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta